thing that I'm putting up here is our contact details, which is important for you guys. We get quite a lot of contact from SMEs to the office, and we come in through the email address here, info@dataprotection.ie. So if you've got any queries in terms of any new products or services you're looking to bring to market, or just general queries in relation to ensuring that you're compliant, this is your starting point. The second link there you can see is our website. I'll go back to them at the very end. So really I'm just going to touch on really briefly, just talk about what the basics are in terms of data protection, what the role of the Commission is, and then, as I said, we'll go into the trends and the current live issues that we have. So I suppose the starting point, and again, apologies if you already know this, but the very basic question is, what is personal data? When we're talking about personal data is any data that can identify you as an individual. So it can be your name, your address, your date of birth, but it can be things such as your IP address on a computer. So if you're working with computer systems, you need to bear all of this in mind. The second thing then is in relation to processing of personal data. So what is processing? And processing of personal data is pretty much anything you do from cradle to grave. So from the moment you receive somebody's data to anything you do with it, whether you're deleting it, whether you're storing it, whether you're sharing it with a third party, anything you're doing is processing personal data. So the starting point, and I have it at the very bottom here, the very starting point, I think, for small to medium enterprises, in fact any business, is to know your data. Know what personal data you hold within your organisation. That's of paramount importance, because the amount of people I meet when I attend and speak at these events, who when you have the discussion, I had one guy very recently who told me that I frightened the life out of him when I was talking about data protection, and then when we had the discussion and I said, what personal data do you hold? He actually stood and looked at me and said, I don't know. I have to go back and we'll have to check. So that is your starting point, to know what personal data you hold, because it may be that actually you've very little to worry about because you don't do an awful lot with personal data. But then you may be on the flip side, where not only have you got personal data, but you're very sensitive. So if you're in the financial industry, if you're in the healthcare industry, where you have medical records, there's sensitive elements of data there. Equally, if you're working with children and you're processing the personal details of children, again, that's a very sensitive category of data, and it's something that's actually called out in data protection terms, children as a special category. So just on the GDPR that came in May of last year, the main principles are what are known as transparency and accountability. So basically what it means is, we spoke about what personal data is, how you process, so it's the cradle to grave, but really from a transparency perspective for you as business, what's really important is that you tell your customers, your consumers, what you're doing, why you're collecting their data, what type of data you want to collect, who you're going to share the data with, why you need the data, how long you're going to hold on to it for. You have to have things such as retention period. So, you might be running a project that's a 12-month project and you need certain elements of data. So there's absolutely no reason why you would be still holding on to that data in 5 years' time. You need to have a justifiable reason why you are. So in terms of transparency, it's really important that you let your customers know what you're doing with their personal data. And we've actually got statutory inquiries set up at the moment into that very issue, whereby it's become very evident to us through complaints we've received, and also just through the likes of media reporting. It's become very obvious to us that there are organisations who are not being as transparent with the information to the end user as they should be. And the second element of it then is what's known as accountability. So we talk about things such as breach notifications. If you have a breach, which every organisation will have, the vast majority of organisations will have, at some point in time, but you must be accountable. There are things that you must do in terms of data breaches. You must make a decision, first of all, is it something that you need to inform us as the supervisory authority here in Ireland that are responsible for regulating yourselves in terms of data protection? Should you be informing the consumer themselves? Does it pose a risk? Does the breach you have propose some sort of a risk to the individual? And then if you do need to, if your organisation is a big organisation or is processing high volumes of personal data, well then you need to consider whether you need to have what's known as a data protection officer. For smaller organisations that may not be an issue, but again for larger organisations or for organisations who are processing very special and high volume category data, they may need to consider these things. I'm only breezing across all of that because it's all covered on our website, and I really want to get to the next bit, which is kind of the findings that we've had, as I say, from the first 12 months. So the role that we have is pretty much, we have what we call a twin-pronged approach. So under the GDPR, we now have enforcement mechanisms that we have not got pre the 25th of May of last year. So we can now impose fines on organisations in a way that we couldn't. The fines that we can impose are up to €20 million or 4% of global turnover, whichever is greater. We also, though, have what we call our engagement function, and that's where, and I don't know whether anybody here so far has had an engagement experience with ourselves, but we engage with small to medium enterprises and the bigger companies, the bigger multinational companies on a regular basis. We have a specific dedicated consultation unit within the DPC with whom we liaise with companies. We have on our website, we've got dedicated areas on the website for small to medium enterprises in particular. We have on our website lots of guidance, again towards the SME sector, guidance to get you just some basic steps to try and get yourself towards compliance. We've also got guidance in relation to the way that you need to conduct the likes of an impact assessment to try and see, okay, I've got this personal data in the organisation, but actually what is the impact? What is the potential risks that are there for us as an organisation? So there's quite a lot of guidance on our website that you can use and you can go through if you've got any of these queries. And as I mentioned earlier, the info@dataprotection.ie email address for you to make contact with us through. Since the 25th of May, across the EU, and I won't labour the point here because I'm very mindful that now I'm speaking about the multinational sector, since the 25th of May, we've become the lead data protection supervisory authority across the EU for very, very many of the big platforms. So I saw the last talk that was here, there was a lot of discussion around Facebook. We're lead supervisory authority for Facebook, for Apple, for Twitter, LinkedIn, Microsoft, for very, very many of the big platforms. And that now means that since the 25th of May of last year, if somebody has a breach or a complaint is lodged about any of these big tech companies in any of the EU member states, the 28 that are there at the moment, that complaint or that issue comes to us as the lead supervisory authority for us to investigate. That is what's known as the one-stop shop model. The one-stop shop being that these big companies can avail of us as the lead supervisory authority. Just to give you a quick idea, and again I'm going to fly through this to get to the trends. Resource-wise, the office has gone from just under 30 staff back in 2014. We're now up to 137 today. We're going to be around 160 by the end of this year, 190 by the end of next year, 220 by the end of 2021. So you can see there is a need because data protection, whether you're just a new SME that are setting up, or whether you're there, have been around for many years, you will be aware, no doubt by now, that data protection has become front and central for organisations in ensuring that they have the right governance structures in place to comply. In the last 12 months, we've received 7,000 complaints. And I mentioned the big tech companies. The big tech companies actually only account for less than 500 of those. So less than 10% are into big tech. The vast majority of complaints that are made about SMEs and government sector. We've also received around 6,000 breach notifications. And we've received, I mentioned, data protection officers that certain organisations need to appoint. We've received 1,250 notifications on them. In terms then, so I think this is probably, I hope this is the most learning for you will come from the next little bit. So in terms of our breach notifications, if you as an organisation have a data breach where personal data, and it could be something as simple as, you can see there the majority of notifications come to us, could be unauthorised disclosures. It could be that you mean to send an email, a HR record to an individual or a couple of individuals, and you inadvertently send them to the wrong distribution list. It may be that you have, as we get quite a lot of, people who bring files home with them in their car with personal records. They go into a shop, and this is a very real example. They go into a shop and they come out, their car has been broken into, the files are being taken. These kind of practical things are the types of things that you then need to make a determination yourself as to, does the breach that's occurred, does that actually pose a risk to an individual? And if so, you need to contact us and let us know about it. Equally, you may need to say, actually, I also need to inform my customer that this has happened. And as I say, we've had 6,000 breach notifications, which are almost double. It's now mandatory for you to do it. So if you have one of these breaches, you must inform us of it. There's no material change to the types of breaches that we're receiving. As I say, unauthorized disclosures where you give information to the wrong people, happening very, very regularly. Lost or stolen paper records, which are the ones that I'm speaking about. And also hacking or phishing. Now again, quite often for companies and organisations, this can be a very, very difficult issue for you to deal with, because you're saying, we have as much of the security in place to try and ensure that it doesn't happen. However, if you have, and as an example, it's in the media today that the FAI have had a security incident where there's been some sort of a hacking, reported hacking in their systems, their IT systems, and we've received a breach notification this week in relation to that. So you need to let us know when you've got a serious issue of hacking that has got the potential to impact on individuals in terms of the processing of their personal data. You need to let us know, and we will make a determination then with you. It may be that we say we establish very quickly you've had all the safeguards in place that you could possibly have had, that you have followed the right procedures on becoming aware of the breach, and that you've contacted the individuals. You must, when it comes to a breach, you must inform us within 72 hours of becoming aware of the breach. And that's really, really important. You're not expected to have all of the details to hand within those 72 hours. But what you do is you come to us and you inform us within 72 hours of the information that you have to hand at that point in time. And it may be that it will more likely be that you will have to come back to us, or we will have to go back to you as things progress and as more information comes to hand. There is also a profile of what we see as repeat offenders. So we have one of the statutory inquiries that we have open, and we've been out here publicly speaking about it. It's actually into two-step. And we opened that inquiry because we actually received, from the 25th of May to the autumn of 2018, we received between 70 and 80 different breach notifications from that organisation. So we opened a statutory inquiry into their general compliance with the GDPR and with data protection regulation. So we do see the same companies, same organisations coming up time and time again. And that is something that we will bear in mind when we get to the stage where we're concluding inquiries, concluding investigations, and when we're trying to determine what kind of a sanction, if any, we will apply. If you're an organisation who is not learning the lessons from previous issues, that is going to be an aggravating factor that will be considered when it comes to imposing any fine. So again, the important thing that I'd say to you is every business, the majority of businesses have some sort of breach at some stage. We've had breaches ourselves as the Data Protection Commission. The important thing to do is to make sure that you react in the appropriate way when you have the breach, and that going forward you ensure that you put whatever factors that need to be put into place to try and ensure that you can minimise the repeat of it going forward, or indeed repeat of any other type of breach going forward. So to try and put any security measures in place. And again, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it is something that's very, very important, because at the end of the day, and it's one of the things I think that gets neglected so often by business, is that this is not just about complying with a legislation. There is that element to it, of course. You need to comply, you need to make sure that you're in compliance with the GDPR. But more importantly, from a business's perspective, is it's become more prevalent in the media. Data protection, there's not a week goes by that there's not some sort of an issue. And for you as a business, it's about building and keeping consumer trust. And if your consumers can see that you are an organisation who takes your responsibilities in relation to their personal data, if you show and prove that you take that seriously, it's going to help you to build that trust and keep that trust, and it will give you a competitive advantage over business. It's other businesses who don't maybe show that in the same way. And it's something that we're hearing right across the globe, just back from an event over in DC there a couple of weeks ago. And that was the key message that businesses were saying to us, is that they're actually seeing it as a real advantage for them, that they're putting resources, time, effort into putting structures in place that can actually show their customers and their consumers that they are compliant and that they value the importance of making sure that they're processing personal data in the right way and that they're seeing the benefits of it themselves on the other end. We're also, in terms of breach notifications, we're just almost finished a review ourselves of the first 12 months of the types of breaches we've received, and we're going to do a good guidance document and put it onto our website, again, with very, very practical examples for you guys as businesses as to the types of issues that we have received notification from yourselves where we say, actually, you know what, if this happens again, it's not necessarily the type of thing you have to come with it. We're getting companies are asking us for this type of guidance. They need a bit more understanding and a bit more of our insight into the types of issues that we expect to see. And equally, we would also be saying that these are the types of issues that have arisen in the last 12 months. These are the types of issues that have arisen, and there needs to be learning from both from the consumer's perspective, but more importantly for yourselves, from the organisation's perspective. In terms then of complaints, our complaints have more than doubled since the GDPR came in, so we're at almost 7,000 complaints now. The majority of complaints we receive are to do with what's known as access rights. So this is where, if you are processing the personal data of an individual, I can go to your company and say, or your organisation, I can say to you, I want access, I want a copy of all of the personal data you hold on me. So as an individual, we are all entitled to do that of any company that we work with. That company has 30 days to comply with that request. They must give me my information within 30 days. We quite often get complaints in from individuals saying, I've gone to a company, I've sought that information and it hasn't been forthcoming. But more importantly, and I think that this is a really, really key thing for you guys, and it's something that's come up at our information stand quite a lot this morning, is that quite often people are coming to us and making complaints under data protection. But actually the issue that they really have is not a data protection issue, it's actually a customer service issue. So we see the top complaint of sectors for us are the retail banks and telecommunication sectors. And the customer service issues are really what are underpinning the complaints that they come to us with. So there are things such as companies not keeping personal data up to date. So for example, you're a telecommunications company, and what we get complaints about is, I left that company 3 years ago and I just got a bill for something that I shouldn't have got a bill for. Or somebody becoming aware that their information, their actual bill or correspondence has been sent to the wrong address. This happens time and time again, and I'm using the telecommunication sector as an example, but it is happening in all sectors. The same issues are coming up. And the important thing really from the business perspective is, firstly, it shouldn't be happening, but when it does happen, how you handle it from a customer service perspective is key. Because quite often what we get is people coming to us and they're actually complaining to us then about how you handled as a business, how you handled their initial complaints to you. So if it had been dealt with there and then, they had been given some sort of an assurance from you that you've rectified what the issue is, there will be no problem. But what happens is, with the companies, they're going to companies, they're looking for something to be rectified, the company's not getting back to them, they're then going, they're asking, okay, can I now have a copy? They're giving the company a period of time to try and rectify it. They're then saying, can I now have a copy of the personal data that you have on me. The companies aren't responding to that, and it's a snowball effect. And we find, I'm not going to go through it all, but we've actually got a case study that we put in our annual report from last year of this very issue. And it was only when we got involved then with the organisation that the organisation actually did what they should have done in the first instance. And the damage that it has, the potential damage for you guys as organisations and as business, is that reputational damage. It's this, again, that snowball effect of what will happen both from your customer and again, you just listen to talk of social media. We all know the power of social media. You have customers going on to social media then talking about the bad experience that they may have had. So again, I know I am making the point, but it's really, really important to say to you, it's, from your perspective, how you handle customer service issues is paramount, and it's one of the things, it's one of the real learnings that we're getting as an authority. Just some live issues that we have, just to, again, to let you see, we've got 55 statutory inquiries open at the moment. And I suppose the importance of the statutory inquiries are these are the inquiries that can result in big fines or big penalties at the end. Of those 55, 35 of them are national inquiries. And we've got, I mentioned we have one into Tusla, we've got 32 different inquiries into local authorities and the Garda Síochána in relation to surveillance of citizens. So things such as CCTV, body-worn cameras, dash cams, etc. So we've inquired into that. And then we've also got 20 inquiries into the big tech companies. So again, no doubt, unless you have your head in the sand, you will have heard at some stage over the last 12 months of some of the inquiries involving into Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, Apple, etc. There are a number of different stages of each inquiry. I'm not going to bore you, but there's a number of different ways in which inquiries start, and then there's a different process depending on the type of inquiry that happens. But just know that it's a serious situation that you're in if we get to this stage when we're working with you. What we try and do in the vast majority of issues that come to our attention and complaints that come to us is we try and, in the very first instance, amicably resolve them. So our first point of call would be, if somebody comes to us with a complaint against your organisation, we would say, have you gone back to the organisation? Have you liaised with the organisation? We would, although we don't have a power to actually do this, we would encourage people and say to them, go back to the organisation, tell them you've been in contact with ourselves, see if you can resolve it in some shape or form. Can it be amicably resolved? If it can, great, because that's just the best for all parties. If it can't, then it's something that comes towards and something that we will have to consider what way it's going to go. I've spoken about fines. This is just to give you an example. We have not issued a fine as of yet as the Irish Data Protection Commission, but there certainly will be fines this year will be coming out. A lot of the attention is towards the big multinational tech sector. Google, you may be aware, or may have heard, Google were fined 50 million in January of this year from the French Data Protection Authority. So again, if you're an organisation and you have CCTV, there are obligations on you. You are what's known as a data controller because you've got that CCTV and you're processing personal data of people because an individual's image is personal data. And with what you're doing with the CCTV footage, the policy you have in place, the CCTV policy that you have up on your website, if you have a website, the information that you have, the signage you have up in your organisation, letting people know that CCTV is being recorded, letting people know that they can contact the relevant and appropriate person within your organisation to seek access to personal data held on them. These are all entitlements that individuals have under data protection legislation. There's a lot of guidance on our website. We recently redid our guidance in relation to CCTV footage, and I'd advise you, if you do have CCTV within the organisation, I'd advise you to have a look at that guidance if you haven't already done so. The Portuguese Data Protection Authority fined a hospital €400,000 in relation to unauthorised access of confidential material. So again, if you have very confidential records in your organisation, I know I'm probably preaching to converted here when I say this, but particularly your HR records, make sure that you have them stored in a secure facility, whether that be password encrypted on memory or on hardware. But if you have paper files, make sure you have them securely locked up in the the evening time when you're going home. Make sure you're not doing things such as bringing paper files home, which are leaving them in your car when you're going in to a newsagent or to a supermarket. Again, very basic things, but the types of things that we see are getting people into trouble. And as I say, the Portuguese issued a €400,000 fine. And then the German Data Protection Authority, they actually find an online flirting app, €20,000 for failing to properly secure the personal data, including passwords. Again, we've got a statutory inquiry that we opened only a couple of months ago in relation to Facebook, because Facebook had passwords that were not secure in-house, and we've opened an investigation to see what level of securities they had. So I'm just going to finish up now by saying the final thing is we have a number of different consultations are all up on our website. We have a consultation on children at the moment that we're working on in terms of ensuring that children are being protected in the digital world.